The world watches with bated breath. From the blood-soaked battlefields of Eastern Europe to the tense standoffs in the Middle East and South Asia, our planet is gripped by conflict. The war in Ukraine grinds on, a brutal testament to the human cost of aggression and resistance. In the Middle East, the Israel-Palestine conflict continues to simmer, punctuated by periodic eruptions of violence. Meanwhile, the long-standing rivalry between India and Pakistan, fueled by historical grievances and territorial disputes, threatens to boil over once more. These conflicts, though geographically diverse, share a common thread. They are driven by a complex interplay of factors: political ambition, historical animosity, ethnic and religious tensions, and competition for resources. The conflicts are further complicated by the involvement of global powers, each pursuing their own strategic interests. The human toll of these conflicts is staggering. Millions have been displaced from their homes, seeking refuge in neighboring countries or living in precarious conditions. The loss of life, both civilian and military, continues to mount, a grim reminder of the devastating consequences of war. The world watches, horrified yet seemingly powerless to stop the bloodshed. The question arises: are these isolated incidents, or do they signal a broader trend, a descent into a new era of global instability? Are we witnessing the harbingers of a dystopian future, the much-dreaded end times? The war in Ukraine, now in its third year, has become a grinding war of attrition. Russian forces, initially expecting a swift victory, have encountered fierce resistance from the Ukrainian military and civilian population. The conflict has evolved into a bloody stalemate, with neither side able to achieve a decisive victory. Key areas of eastern Ukraine have become focal points of the conflict. Cities like Kharkiv, Sumy, Pokrovsk, and Kostiantynivka have witnessed some of the most intense fighting. Both sides have poured vast resources into the conflict, deploying advanced weaponry and engaging in fierce battles for control of strategic territory. International efforts to mediate a ceasefire have been met with limited success. While both Ukraine and Russia have expressed openness to negotiations, deep mistrust and conflicting objectives have hampered progress. Ukraine demands the restoration of its territorial integrity, while Russia seeks to secure its territorial gains and maintain influence over its neighbor. The war in Ukraine has sent shockwaves through the international community. It has shattered the illusion of peace in Europe, exposing the fragility of the post-Cold War order. The conflict has also highlighted the devastating human cost of modern warfare, with countless lives lost and millions displaced from their homes. The Middle East, a region long plagued by conflict, remains a tinderbox of tension. The Israel-Palestine conflict, a seemingly intractable dispute rooted in competing claims to land and resources, continues to cast a long shadow over the region. Recent years have witnessed a resurgence of violence, with both sides engaging in rocket attacks, airstrikes, and ground incursions. The conflict has claimed the lives of countless civilians, fueling a cycle of hatred and mistrust that seems impossible to break. Adding to the volatility is the ongoing conflict in Yemen. The country has been ravaged by a civil war, with Houthi rebels, backed by Iran, battling against the internationally recognized government, supported by a Saudi-led coalition. The conflict has created a humanitarian catastrophe with millions facing starvation and disease. The Middle East conflicts are further complicated by the involvement of regional and global powers. Each actor pursues its own strategic interest, often at the expense of peace and stability. The region has become a battleground for proxy wars, with external powers vying for influence and control. Section 4. Instability in South Asia. The India-Pakistan conflict. In South Asia, the long-standing rivalry between India and Pakistan continues to pose a significant threat to regional stability. The two nuclear-armed neighbors have fought several wars since their independence in 1947, primarily over the disputed territory of Kashmir. The line of control, a de facto border that divides Kashmir, remains a flashpoint for violence. Both countries maintain a heavy military presence along the border, and cross-border shelling and skirmishes are not uncommon. The India-Pakistan conflict is fueled by a complex mix of historical grievances, religious tensions, and territorial disputes. Both countries view Kashmir as an integral part of their territory, and neither seems willing to compromise on its claims. The presence of nuclear weapons in the arsenals of both India and Pakistan adds a terrifying dimension to the conflict. The risk of escalation, whether intentional or accidental, is a constant source of concern for the international community. Section 5. Echoes of the Past. Historical Parallels to Modern Conflicts. As we grapple with the complexities of today's conflicts, it is instructive to look back at history. Throughout human history, conflict has been a recurring theme, often driven by the same fundamental factors that we see at play today: the pursuit of power, the clash of ideologies, and the struggle for resources. The Peloponnesian War, a conflict between ancient Athens and Sparta in the 5th century BC, offers a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked ambition and the breakdown of diplomacy. The war, which lasted for decades, decimated both city-states and left a lasting legacy of bitterness and mistrust. Similarly, the 30 Years' War, which ravaged Europe in the 17th century, serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of religious intolerance and the destructive power of sectarian violence. The war, which began as a conflict between Catholic and Protestant states, escalated into a wider European war, leaving millions dead and vast swaths of the continent in ruins. These historical examples, though separated from us by centuries, offer valuable lessons for our own time. They remind us that conflict is not inevitable but rather a choice, often driven by short-sightedness, greed, and a failure of leadership. They also highlight the importance of diplomacy, dialogue, and a commitment to peaceful coexistence.